Welcome everyone. Today we will talk about something that often goes unnoticed but can have a huge impact on people's lives. Workplace bullying. Think about how much time we spend at work. Now imagine what happens when that space becomes hostile, stressful, or even harmful due to bullying behavior. That's what we will be focusing on today. Workplace bullying can affect not just the individual being targeted, but the entire work environment. It lowers morale, reduces productivity, and can create a toxic culture. But before we clue you into details, I want you to ask yourself this. What exactly counts as bullying at work? It's not always obvious. So let's break it down together. By the end of this lecture, you should be able to define workplace bullying and understand its characteristics. Identify the different types of workplace bullying. Recognize both overt and subtle forms of bullying behavior. So, what is workplace bullying? It's not just someone being rude or having a bad day. Workplace bullying is repeated, harmful behavior that targets an individual or a group in a professional setting. These behaviors can be verbal, non-verbal, psychological, or even physical. They create an environment that feels intimidating, humiliating, or hostile. The key here is that it's persistent and it's meant to cause harm. A common misconception is that bullying only happens in schools. The reality is that bullying can happen in any space where there's power imbalance, and the workplace is no exception. In fact, sometimes workplace bullying is more damaging because it can affect someone's career, their mental health, and their daily life for years. Now, let's talk about the main characteristics of workplace bullying. Frequency. It's not just a one-time occurrence. Bullying happens repeatedly over time. Intent. The bully intends to harm, control, or demean the target. Power imbalance. There's usually a difference in power, whether based on hierarchy, seniority, or even social dynamics within the office. One thing I want to stress is that workplace bullying doesn't always involve shouting or physical aggression. Often, it's much more subtle. We can break workplace bullying down into several types, which fall into both overt, which is obvious, and subtle categories. Verbal harassment. This could be insults, offensive jokes, or yelling. Physical intimidation. While less common, bullying can include physical threats or even aggressive body language. Public humiliation. A boss or colleague might criticize or shame someone in front of others to undermine their confidence. Exclusion. This might mean intentionally excluding someone from important meetings or decisions, making them feel irrelevant. Spreading rumors. Gossip or rumors designed to hurt someone's reputation can be extremely damaging. Undermining work. This happens when someone purposely makes your job more difficult, whether by withholding information, setting unreasonable deadlines, or sabotaging your projects. These subtler forms of bullying are often harder to detect, but they can be just as damaging as more obvious forms. Let me tell you a brief story to illustrate the effects of workplace bullying. A few years ago, a new employee named Lisa started working at a mid-sized company. She was excited about starting her new role. But soon after starting, she noticed something odd. Her team would have meetings without her. She wasn't being CC'd on important emails. Every time she tried to ask for updates, her manager told her, "Oh, you didn't need to know about that." Over time, Lisa felt more and more isolated, and her performance began to suffer because she was left out of critical information. The moral of the story? Bullying doesn't have to be loud or aggressive. Sometimes it's the quiet exclusion that can be the most harmful. Lisa's experience is a classic example of subtle bullying. It wasn't that anybody was outright mean to her, they simply made her feel like she didn't belong. Think of a workplace as a chain, with each link representing an employee. If one link is repeatedly targeted, weakened, or made to feel unimportant, the entire chain becomes fragile. The chain might not break right away, but over time, the damage builds. Eventually, the entire team or workplace feels the strain. That's what bullying does. It weakens the entire team, not just the individual. Write a reflection on whether you have witnessed or experienced subtle forms of bullying in your previous job, internship, or study group. How did it impact the person being targeted? How did it affect the overall environment? I would love to hear your thoughts or experiences related to workplace bullying. If you have any questions or ideas you would like to discuss, feel free to bring them up. Your feedback helps me shape these lectures to be as relevant and engaging as possible. That was all about today's lecture. Bullying, no doubt, has far more repercussions than simply being ridiculed. In the next lecture, we will explore another important topic regarding workplace bullying. Be there.